a monumental, huge, major shift right before the biggest party of the summer happens at the Smackdown before SummerSlam, as we see Baron Corbin do something that no one saw coming. An epic tag team match and a preview for SummerSlam. Women's rivalry heats up, and we see an apology from AJ Styles. All this on this week's SmackDown and so much more we're going to cover on this week's edition of the Smackdown Rebound. Hello everybody, my name is Connor, aka OKAYFABE, your official SmackDown video correspondent for OneWrestling.com, and of course One Wrestling's videos YouTube channel. We thank you guys for tuning back into another edition of the Smackdown Rebound. We're going to cover everything and anything pertaining to SmackDown Live with the Boy Blue brand for August the 15th, 2017 is the go-home show for SmackDown Live. Now before we get into the review, we guys love to hear your thoughts, comments, suggestions, and feedback from this week's SmackDown Live. Again, hit us up down in the comment section below. Make sure you follow myself and the entire OneWrestling.com family over on the social media, including myself, Twitter at OKAYFABE. You can also check out my YouTube channel, youtube.com/OKAYFABER. You can also check out, of course, everyone in the entire OneWrestling.com family. Of course, I'm talking Big Ray, the entire Big Slam Nation, of course, the legendary, the iconic Mr. Bill After at After One Wrestling. Make sure if you guys haven't done so already, hit that subscribe button to get all the latest and amazing wrestling 24/7 news right here from OneWrestling.com's videos, YouTube channel, and of course, check us out over at OneWrestling.com as well, too. Speaking of SummerSlam, as we're heading into the go-home show, guys, I will be in Brooklyn for SummerSlam weekend, so make sure you guys haven't done so already, hit me up on that Twitter and let you guys know, so maybe we can do a meet and greet, say hi, get some pictures, or do whatever it is people do in Brooklyn, apparently. I don't know, this is why I'm from Massachusetts, I don't even know how that thing goes, but any case, let's break down this week's SmackDown. We kick things off with another Maharaja celebration with Jinder Mahal, the WWE Champion, as he goes on to proclaim how he is the greatest WWE champion, and of course, it is the Independence Day of India. He goes on to basically mention how he inspires from his people, how the people drive him and give him the power he is to be the greatest WWE champion, and how he's going to thrash John Cena in the main event of the evening, but also take out Shinsuke Nakamura at SummerSlam, which prompts the #1 contender to come out and confront the modern-day Maharaja. Nakamura is yelled at by Jinder Mahal for daring him to interrupt him on this day, but the King of Strong Style keeps his cool and says today is indeed Indian Independence Day, but today in Japan is also a day they commemorate those who have died in war and pray for peace. And Sunday in America is SummerSlam, and that'll be the day that Jinder loses the WWE Championship. It's kind of funny that realistically we have the SmackDown main event between Jinder Mahal and Shinsuke Nakamura, which, by the way, would never have thought to have seen this matchup 6 months ago, but that notwithstanding, is realistically the first time we've seen them in the ring face-to-face. Nakamura won the #1 contendership a couple weeks ago, and we haven't really seen Mahal and Nakamura have any sort of physical altercation or even like a confrontation face-to-face up until this exact moment. So just kind of weird, bizarre, but cool at the same time. So really just something surreal, just something I wanted to mention as well too. We kick things off in ring action-wise with Becky Lynch versus Natalya one-on-one. One of their awesome, better matches. I always love seeing Becky Lynch and Natalya go at it one-on-one because they're very, they have a grapple mat-based style wrestling, and this was no different. While this may not have been their greatest matchup against each other, it's still a treat for me personally. Natalya actually getting a surprise victory here over Becky Lynch with the sharpshooter getting a submission victory over on Becky Lynch, but Naomi, who was at ringside, of course, would bear witnesses to Natalya attacking Becky Lynch afterwards, in which case she chases her off. As Natalya seems frustrated, is about to put her tail between her legs and run, Carmella, the Money in the Bank briefcase winner for the women's division, shows up and says, "May the best woman win at SummerSlam," to which James Ellsworth said, "That's right, and to whoever wins, you lose," pointing to the women's Money in the Bank briefcase. I'm thinking that Ellsworth knows something that we don't know. There's more to him than meets the eye. Just keep your eyes peeled on that particular guy right there. Anyway, we see a fun little backstage segment with Tamina complaining to Lana about not having a title match yet Lana says that she's not ready. Tamina points out that Lana got shot after shot after shot, and clearly she wasn't ready, to which Lana says, "Well, everybody walks right past you, Tamina, and no one fears you. Yet." But if you listen to me, the ravishing Russian Lana, I'm going to use my beauty and my cunning to manipulate her way to getting Tamina to a #1 champion, a #1 contenders match, and for her to be a force to crush. Where have I heard that crush thing before with Lana? I feel like she said that before to somebody. Who was it? No, don't tell me. It's on the tip of my tongue. Who did she say that before? Kali. She said to great Kali. So we're just going to... Oh, that's right. She said that to Rusev 2, we'll talk about that another time. Daniel Bryan actually backstage with the Usos as the Usos are asking Daniel Bryan which members of New Day they'll be facing at SummerSlam for the Smackdown Live Tag Team titles, to which Daniel Bryan revealed it will be Big E and Xavier Woods. So to switch things up, they wanted a tag team match against Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston, to which Daniel Bryan agrees. A little bizarre and unorthodox to see a tag team match almost in a preview for a tag team match, but considering we got on Monday Night Raw last night, I could see where they're kind of trying to spice things up in the go-home show for SummerSlam. Speaking of which, the next matchup between Rusev and Chad Gable, which I was personally excited for, really didn't happen as Rusev just kind of tossed Gable around like a bad sack of potatoes, even throwing him over into the ring announcer's ringside table with the commentator booth and just absolutely decimating him. The match ends up in a double countout, but this was my favorite part of the whole thing. As Rusev stands in anger and his frustration, he marches to the ring, gets in the microphone, and the camera zooms in just perfectly on Rusev's face, just in time for him to say Randy and allow Randy Orton to literally jump out of nowhere and hit a beautifully planted RKO onto Rusev. While the crowd may have been able to see it a mile away from where they were at the arena in Providence, Rhode Island, it was just so cool because it just, again, from the casual fans' perspective from TV, it was literally out of nowhere. And I thought that was really cool, and honestly something that really kind of be needed for the hype up between Rusev and Randy Orton at the biggest party of the summer this Sunday. Now, next up we have AJ Styles calling out Shane McMahon to apologize for what happened with the Pele kick last week between the two of them. Shane says he thanks the crowd for the love and sends it right back before saying that, want to be clear that there's no really need for an apology, AJ. I'm the special guest referee at SummerSlam, and the one reason alone, because I can take a hit and keep on going, so no apology necessary. But Shane does want him to know that Styles wants Shane to know that the kick was completely accidental, but man to man, he wants to know after what happened last week, they'll use it as some excuse to screw him over. Shane says that what happened last week was inadvertent in the heat of the battle, and on Sunday he'll be wearing the black and white, and most officials you can't touch, but I'm a little different. And I just want to let you know, man to man, that if you push me, I'm going to push back. Again, last week was an accident, but if you put my hands on me again, I'm going to put my hands right back on him. Styles asked if that was a threat, McMahon saying no, and that's when, of course, the new face of America walks in with Kevin Owens. He says that AJ stands here and says that last week was an accident, but he's not so sure that he didn't mean it. But that's beside the point, but he wants to know that Styles is going to get so upset right now when the referee is just telling him the rules, basically. KO says he personally loves those rules because that means on Sunday, AJ can't go and get himself disqualified by hitting the referee. Pretty sure Owens did that at some point, didn't he? No? That's not how America works. I like that answer. McMahon, while he's out there, he wants to make it clear to Shane, and unlike AJ Styles, who has something planned, that if he were to collide with McMahon in any way, it would be completely accidental, of course. But he wants to look him in the eyes and shake his hands and know that it's the truth, because he knows Shane will call it right down the middle, which means, of course, he is getting his championship back. McMahon refuses the handshake, saying it would be inappropriate, but he recommends he shakes AJ's hand instead. Kevin is game to offer his hand, but Styles kind of hesitates, pointing and jawing. Things get a little hot, and a shoving match breaks out, but McMahon tries to break it up while he has AJ in front of him. Kevin Owens goes to super kick, but of course AJ just gets out of the way in time, planting a super kick right in the face of Shane McMahon. Seriously, I think he needs to wear a helmet on Sunday at this point in time. Poor guy just can't get a break. Owens looking completely distraught and completely just out of his mind, but of course that we'll find out more about that once we get to Sunday. Honestly, this kind of makes me more intrigued for SummerSlam more than anything else. It's one of those matches where there's not a whole lot in terms of what we know about, but in terms of just the unpredictability, especially with Shane being referee, anything can happen, and I always like those odds. Tag team match, New Day against the Usos. Again, Jimmy and Jay against Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods. Not taking anything away from this matchup whatsoever. I thoroughly enjoyed this matchup, and to be honest with you guys, this was probably my favorite match of the entire evening. Very exciting stuff. New Day and Usos always deliver in the ring, no matter what, promo-wise, in-ring-wise. Again, it was just a bit bizarre to see like the New Day Usos when we're going to see them kind of more or less again in 5 days for the tag team titles. Usos getting the win would be a pinfall after some stereo super hits on the Kofi Kingston, but again, still love the matchup, nothing to take away from it, just a bit odd that we saw that so close to the pay-per-view. We did see Fashion Peaks once again as Fandango and Tyler Breeze try to finally figure out what's going on. They advertised it as like the final one, but it's not done yet. They're going to return in 2 weeks and finish things up here with more Ascension craziness, where they find a note that says 2B, and We don't know exactly what's going to happen, but this goes far beyond Fashion Peaks, and the whole tag team division is in danger. Main event time saw Jinder Mahal against John Cena in a very solid matchup, but of course, the ending is what everyone is talking about. After taking 2 AAs, John Cena looked like he was going to get the pinfall victory over Jinder Mahal, but rather the Money in the Bank briefcase holder, Baron Corbin, runs in and thwarts John Cena, beating the ever-living hell out of him and tossing him out of the ring. And just as Corbin is about to leave, he grabs his briefcase, stares at it, and runs in. And yes, folks, he actually cashes in the Money in the Bank briefcase. Freaking absolute insanity. I can't believe he did it either. So as he's cashing in, referee is kind of getting scrambling. We're all on the edge of our seats. The bell rings, and John Cena jumps up on the apron. Corbin, distracted, hits John Cena off the apron, which allows Jinder to sneak up underneath him, schoolboy him in a quick roll-up pinfall. 1, 2, 3. That's right. Jinder Mahal retains the WWE Championship. Corbin loses his Money in the Bank opportunity. And I'll be completely honest with you guys in saying I think this was a huge mistake. I think that while Corbin could have lost the Money in the Bank briefcase, I think this was not the ideal time to do it. I'm never a fan of people who cash in losing, and even if I am somewhat okay with the concept of someone losing the cash in, I think it needs to be done with the right person, like John Cena, Randy Orton, someone who's had an invested and stabilized career where they could take the loss on the chin. Whereas Baron Corbin, who's still relatively fresh and new, it's just not something I would have done. I think that the Money in the Bank briefcase is something, and the contract is something that you need to use to invest and build characters and build stars for the future. And doing it just like this, at a quick roll-up victory like this, it just seems kind of extremely counterproductive. I'm personally not a fan of this, which stinks because overall I thought the Smackdown was pretty well handled. I'm excited for SummerSlam, but just the cash-in, I just feel like it's really going to hurt, I think, Baron Corbin more than anybody else at this point, because now it's just an uphill battle, and he needs to beat John Cena at SummerSlam. That's all I'm going to say about that. But of course, guys, these are just my thoughts. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. Want to know what your thoughts about the Baron Corbin cash-in are and all the stuff that happened on SmackDown this week. Again, hit us up down in the comment section below. Also on the social media, on the Twitter, at OKAYFABE, Big Ray Show, at Big Slam Nation, of course, at After One Wrestling, of course, at One Wrestling as well, too, over on the Twitter. Make sure you guys are ready. Hit that subscribe button right down below for all your wrestling 24/7 news, and hit that thumbs up as well too if you guys love the Smackdown Rebound. Thank you guys again for tuning in. I appreciate the continued love and support here, and to quote the legendary, the iconic Mr. Bill After, we will see you at the matches.
You're listening to OKAYFABE.
It's something that everybody's been waiting for.
He's not done yet, bro. F5 to Dallas.
Pro wrestling talk with a comedy twist.
If we go to WrestleMania, name the time, the place, the stadium, the hundreds of thousands of people.
I will win the
I will.
Two of you just relax. You're both winners, okay?